Yes, it's your boy, Dan Mizzi-Harris, top 99% in the world, design token designer. All right, let's have a look at these and the Figma and why it is the way it is. I looked at our calendars for a sync and it ain't happening this week, so I thought a video might be better. I also want to automate as much as possible. I believe that design tokens should have no human intervention. That's like the dream that that design tokens going into Figma requires no human intervention, or at most a dependabot style uh, request where someone needs to go in and go, yeah, cool, accept. I don't want anyone to be spending any time uh, manually keeping Figma in sync. But yeah, let's have a look at why stuff is the way it is. So today we've got two collections. One that's called Constant, which has got a single Figma mode in it called Color. We've also got another collection called Mode, which has got two. The collection's called Mode, and there are two Figma modes inside of it, light and dark. We can see that, not by doing that, we can see that by going to here. So, collection number one, constants, name, value. Well, I lied, it's not called color, it's just called value, but that's the only one. And then in mode, we've got something called mode. Right, full of fibs is called default and dark. Let's start again. So we've got default and dark, which in designers' heads and in common parlance, light and dark mode. But I think what's important here is there's one in this one called constants, and there's two Figma modes in this one called mode. Inside that, we've got two things going on. We've got all of the semantic color design tokens and all of the contextual design tokens. The reason for this is the designer experience. So I am in a branch. Let me create a collection and we'll call this one button text color. We will give it the same name, so default and dark, and we'll just call it this and this. It doesn't really matter. So we've got mode, default, dark, and we've got collection, which we're now going to call contextual, default and dark. So let's apply it to something. Let's give it button text. So contextual button text color. Let's turn this into a frame. And when we switch our mode, go on. Gonna let me? Why? Why are you not letting me? Because it's not inside the frame. When we switch our mode, contextual, default, dark, love to see it. Let's give this button one of the button background colors. So button default, go on, where's the background? There we go. Well, doesn't matter. We'll give it a label light background color. So again, designer experience, I want to go in here and just toggle it to dark mode. But now I've got to toggle it twice. Because each collection has its own concept of mode, and I can't go, hey, if you're dark here, be dark in the other one. Which is why we've compressed the contextual and semantic into a single Figma mode so that designers only have to toggle one thing in this side. So if I make this not a contextual anymore, put it one of our happy mode ones, and make this background color default. What have I done? Here we go. Mode, and there's a single thing. I can demonstrate it with one that we would call contextual as well. If I go to something's changed. Here we go. So we're in our little hidey. That'll do. So I've applied a contextual design token, but I still only have to do one toggle to do the thing. Okay. Same would apply if we added a mode to the constants. So let me delete this collection and add a new. So we call it default and dark. Even though this might exist in reality, if how can I force this to show? Cool, done. We end up with the two toggles again, which is likely to cause confusion and mistakes. So we do need to do that stripping down so that it's only a single mode here in the constants. Okay, let's go back to the unachievable dream. We've got a bunch of different constants that we want to bring in. We've got color, which exists already, but we've also got spacing scale, opacity, the Z index, whatever font is, I can't remember. And we would like contextual, that should say contextual. We'd like contextual to live in its own Figma collection if they would let us link the modes together. So if I change the mode one place, that all of these two stay in sync. And the same for whatever impacts spacing. So whether that's the width of the container, in the past when we were talking about having some fluid padding, stuff like that. But anything that changes as the result of an input that isn't light and dark mode would need to be in its own collection in Figma. And again, the ideal would be for just exposing the semantic to designers. But the reality is that anything that would change based on this needs to end up in the same collection for the same reason we saw with the colors, so that we don't have designers having to go like 6 different options here where it's like, okay, I need to set these 3 to be dark mode, and I need to set these 2 to the width is below 500 pixels or whatever, however it gets broken down. See, I think that's the main thing. Some of these are forward-looking, so our responsive type, the fluid text sizes, where the text size gets bigger or smaller based on the space, probably needs to, even though they're constant in inverted commas, they're the same. It's the same value, that clamp value. For a Figma use, it probably needs to end up in this collection with the other stuff that gets changed by space. That was a lot of jumble, but hopefully it's a little bit clearer why we can't have one-to-one with the JSONs. And the main thing that I think is important to optimize for is the designer experience. Here's a old file. I'll pop a link in somewhere to it where we looked at these maybe 2 years ago, and we were experimenting with theme and semantic and constants and contextual, and we found here that it was really awkward and clunky, even as the people designing the system, to have to remember to change these multiple different things. I'm hoping we can avoid that. All right, I've blabbed too long, but hopefully that gives a better sense of why we need why it is the requirements are the way they are. Oh, one other thing while we're here. The eagle-eyed, I know you will have noticed this, Scott, but we've got modes. Let's consider buttons again. We have our button tokens JSON file, but that includes colors, it includes spaces, it includes font sizes. So how do we split up that file? Have I drawn a diagram somewhere? Here we go. We need to send things to the right Figma collection. So we might have the semantic text tokens. The text colors need to end up in the mode collection, and the text sizes need to end up in our spacing or whatever collection. Here we go. Icon. The icon, the whole file at the minute looks like it just needs to go to this. The space tokens need to end up in this. And our unhappy path, we also need to support where a single file might split off. So border, here we go. Border color needs to go off to the mode collection, border radius. All right, that's enough ramble. Catch you later.